Welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Enung, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu warns Nigerian oil license holders without capacity to exit sector. Akwa Ibom State Governor Moino signs 695 billion naira supplementary budget into law. Plus, Hamas, Israel agree hostage release, ceasefire under Trump's plan. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment. Afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. Our first report this afternoon is from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has warned oil field license holders in Nigeria without capacity to look for something else to do instead of wasting time in the country's oil and gas industry. He made this known during the commissioning of the $400 million Green Energy International Limited and crude oil export terminal in Otakikbo, Rivers State on Wednesday. Tinubu, represented by Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Senator Enikin Lukbobiri, noted that marginal oil field license holders must all meet the obligations expected of them. Tinubu earlier stated that $400 million crude oil export terminal in the Niger Delta region would unlock billions of barrels of reserves and create value for the economy. Away from that, the federal government has again rejected what it described as false and baseless accusations by the United States Senator Ted Cruz, who accused Nigerian authorities of orchestrating a genocide against Christians and allowing the destruction of thousands of churches. But in a statement on Wednesday by its president, Archbishop Daniel Oko, the Nigerian Christian Association affirms without hesitation that many Christian communities in parts of Nigeria, especially in the North, have suffered severe attacks, loss of lives, and the destruction of places of worship. Recall that Cruz, in an interview with newsmen, alleged that more than 52,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria since 2009, and over 20,000 churches and Christian schools have been destroyed. He also announced the introduction of the Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act in the U.S. Senate, a bill seeking sanctions on Nigerian officials he claims are complicit in religious prosecution. But reacting to claims on Wednesday, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, dismissed the senator's assertions as misleading, exaggerated, and not reflective of reality. While the federal government has announced plans to permanently halt deductions for the cost of revenue collection paid to agencies such as the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the Nigerian Customs Service, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, amongst others. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, disclosed this in Abuja while speaking at a panel session after the launch of the October 2025 edition of the World Bank Nigeria Development Update, titled From Policy to People, Bringing the Reform Games Home. Edun revealed that following a presidential directive, several layers of deductions previously made before sharing proceeds from the Federation Account Allocation Committee has now been scrapped to improve fiscal transparency and ensure that more resources reach the three tiers of government. According to the minister, the reform is part of the government's broader efforts to strengthen fiscal governance, promote transparency, and ensure that the federal and sub-national governments have more predictable revenues to fund development projects. In another development, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has received a delegation of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, led by its president, Afam Osigwe, SAN, at the force headquarters, Abuja, explaining that the enforcement of the tinted glass permit was done out of consideration for the interest of Nigerians and regard for the NBA Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Benjamin Hundeyi. In a statement said, the visit, which centered on issues surrounding the enforcement of Motor Vehicles Prohibition of Tinted Glass Act 1991 by the force, provided an opportunity for robust deliberations on issues of mutual concern. And back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino, who has signed into law the 695 billion naira supplementary budget passed by the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. The signing took place during the October's edition of the State Project Delivery Meeting held at the Government House, Uyo. Speaking shortly after signing the budget, Governor Ino expressed appreciation to the Speaker and members of the House of Assembly for the speedy passage of the supplementary appropriations, along with delivery advisors, to ensure strict adherence to project timelines and standards. The October edition of the project delivery meeting featured 12 key presentations on ongoing projects across various sectors, including 3 crop revolution, state electricity market, tourism destination marketing, Arise Senior Citizen Center, Arise Resort, Ibom Tourism Summit. Others are the renovation of Ibom Hotels and Golf Resort, Christmas Unplugged, Oron Maritime and Jetty Project, CNG City Bus Project, Ikotekpene International Market, and renovation of the House of Assembly Complex and Speaker's Lodge, amongst others. Meanwhile, in his remarks, the Speaker of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Elder Udeme Otong, lauded the Governor for his inclusive leadership style and innovative governance approach. He appreciated the Governor the ongoing renovation of the Assembly Complex and pledged continued legislative collaboration with the executive arm of government. Government House correspondent Jane Uwa reports that on their part, some stakeholders who spoke commended Governor Omoino's commitment to effective service delivery, fiscal prudence, and the accelerated development of Akwa Ibom State, pledging their continued support to the Governor as the leader of APC and Team Akwa Ibom United. And in the meantime, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino has expressed satisfaction with the pace and quality of ongoing work at the construction site of Ibom International Hotel, which he described as a state-of-the-art facility designed to meet global standards. Interacting with Government House correspondents shortly after inspecting the 14th-floor facility located along the state's shopping city corridor, Governor Ino commended the contractor for their dedication to work and urged them to adhere to the project's delivery timeline. On his part, the contractor, Engineer Samer Samara of Ratcon Construction Company Limited, while appreciating the state government for providing the necessary resources, assured the project would be ready for commissioning as scheduled. Government House correspondent Jane Uwa reports that the Ibom International Hotel is a 200-bedroom facility designed to complement the state's International Convention Center and the shopping city, which are geared towards boosting the state's tourism assets. And moving now to Africa, where Ethiopia has accused Eritrea of preparing to wage war against it in collusion with an opposition grouping. In the latest sign of escalating tensions between the two neighbors over control of the Red Sea, Ethiopia's accusation is contained in a letter sent by its foreign minister Gideon Timowos to the UN chief Antonio Guterres, warning that the collusion had become more evident over the past few months. Eritrea has not yet commented on the letter, but its relationship with Ethiopia has become increasingly strained in the recent months. Ethiopia has been rallying support to regain access to the Red Sea, causing alarm in Eritrea as it took control of the coastline at independence in 1993. And still in Africa, Burkina Faso military's government has said it arrested 8 members of a Dutch-based humanitarian organization, accusing them of spying and treason. There are 3 Europeans, a Malian and 4 Burkinabe. Among them are the NGO's country director and deputy. The organization said they were detained some time ago, but it was not previously reported. Security Minister Mohamed Sana said the NGO had collected and passed on sensitive security information that could be detrimental to the national security and the interest of Burkina Faso to foreign powers. Meanwhile, the International NGO Safety Organization, INSO, which provides safety information to aid workers, has categorically denied the allegations. Anthony Neal, a representative of the NGO, told reporters that its Burkina Faso country director had been detained since July when the organization was suspended. And on the foreign scene, Israel and Hamas today agreed to a Gaza ceasefire deal to free the remaining living hostages in a major step towards ending the war that has killed tens of thousands of people and unleashed a humanitarian catastrophe. The agreement, which follows a 20-point peace plan for Gaza, announced last month by U.S. President Donald Trump, is set to be signed today in Egypt and calls for Israel to release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Under the deal, there will be a surge of aid into Gaza after more than 2 years of war started by Hamas's unprecedented October 2023 attack on Israel. The Israeli army said it was preparing to pull back troops in Gaza as part of the deal further down the line. Trump's plan also calls for the disarmament of Hamas and for Gaza to be ruled by a transitional authority headed by the U.S. president himself, though his point has yet to be addressed. And still on the foreign scene, Afghanistan's UN-sanctioned foreign minister arrived in India today, the first visit by a top Taliban leader since they returned to power in 2021, following the withdrawal of US-led forces. Amir Khan Muttaqi's trip, made possible granted him a travel waiver, is expected to be closely watched by India's arch-rival Pakistan as New Delhi deepens its engagement with the Taliban government. Neither side disclosed the agenda, but analysts say trade and security are likely to be at the forefront, though India is unlikely, for now, to extend formal recognition to the Taliban government. And still to come in the news. Argentina dumped Nigeria out of Under-20 World Cup with 4-0 thrashing. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News at 12. On our business news, the World Bank has said despite the economic reforms of the federal government, 139 million Nigerians still live in poverty. The World Bank's country director for Nigeria, Matthew Vergis, stated this at the launch of the Nigerian Development Update NDU report in Abuja, the nation's capital. Vergis commended the government for taking some steps in stabilizing the economy through recent policy reforms. He, however, warned that the more needs to be done to ensure better living standards for Nigerians. The country director also raised concerns over the nation's food inflation rate, increased allocations from the Federation Allocation Committee, and what he calls a shock-responsive safety net system to help households manage the crisis. And still in business, the Senate has confirmed that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has submitted responses to 19 audit queries concerning an unaccounted 210 trillion naira covering financial years 2017 to 2023. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Accounts, Senator Aliyu Wadada, Nasarawa West, who made the disclosure, explained that although the NNPCL has responded to the committee's questions, the Senate has yet to critically examine the submissions. The queries relate to discrepancies in the audited accounts of the National Oil Company, which the Senate has described as lacking transparency. Recall that the committee has issued a 3-week deadline to NNPCL's Chief Executive Officer, Bayo Ojulari, on July 29th to provide answers regarding the 210 trillion naira flagged in audit reports. In health, a federal high court in Abuja has granted a week's extension to the medical panel set up by the president of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, to assess the health status of detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. The time extension is meant to enable the panel to conclude its assignment. The extension of time became necessary owing to the panel's inability to conclude its assignment within 8 days allocated to it by the court. Recall that in a ruling on September 26th, Justice James Omotosho ordered the NMA president, among others, to set up a team of medical experts to examine Kanu's health status and ascertain whether or not he is fit to undergo his ongoing terrorism trial. And still in health, the national president of the Association of Dental Technologists of Nigeria, Dr. Eyaefe Stephen, has called for increased investment, innovation and policy reforms to transform dental technology education and practice in Nigeria. Speaking at the 37th Scientific Conference and Annual General Meeting of the Association held in Gombe State on Wednesday, AIFA said the time has come for stakeholders to reimagine the profession through technology, improved training and stronger government support. The 3-day conference themed Transforming Dental Technology Education and Practice in Nigeria, Challenges, Opportunities and Innovations drew participants from across the country, including students, professionals and health policymakers. To sports now, where 6-time champions Argentina handed Nigeria a heavy 4-0 defeat on Wednesday night in Santiago, knocking the Flying Eagles out of the ongoing FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. The result avenged Argentina's elimination by Nigeria at the same stage 2 years ago when they hosted the tournament. Alejo Sarko opened the scoring for the Argentines just 2 minutes into the game, setting the tone for a dominant performance. Maher Carrizo doubled the lead with a sublime free kick in the 23rd minute after Nasiru Salihu fouled an opponent at the edge of the box. Disrupting Nigeria's rhythm early on, Nigeria's appeal for a penalty was ignored despite Ramirez's rough challenge on Salihu in the area. And still in sports, Barcelona will face Villarreal in Miami in a La Liga match on December 20. Marking its first European League fixture to be played abroad. Earlier this week, European football governing body UEFA said it opposed the idea of games being played overseas but would permit it on an exceptional basis. Along with a Serie A match in Australia in February between AC Milan and Como, the game was due to be played at Villarreal's home stadium, but will now take place at the Hard Rock Stadium in United States in Florida. Villarreal will take measures to compensate season ticket holders after the game was moved. On our entertainment news, controversial Nigerian self-acclaimed relationship expert, Blessing CEO, has spoken after she announced the breakup from fiancé, IVD. Blessing CEO, in an Instagram post on Wednesday afternoon, announced the cancellation of her upcoming marriage ceremony with popular Lagos celebrity auto dealer IVD. The announcement that came as a shock to netizens sparked controversy online. However, breaking the silence amid the outrage, the self-acclaimed relationship expert disclosed that she made her engagement cancellation post to test her touch of controversy. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.